mais linda, mais cheia de graça. Ela, a menina que vem, que passa, num doce balanço a caminho do mar. Moça do corpo dourado do sol de Ipanema, o seu balançado é mais que um poema. É a coisa mais linda que eu já vi passar. Porque estou tão sozinho. Porque tudo é tão triste. É a beleza que existe. A beleza que não é só minha, que também passa sozinha. Se ela soubesse que quando ela passa, o mundo sorrindo se enche de graça. Mas lindo por causa do amor. How tall and tan, young and lovely, the girl from Ipanema goes walking, and when she passes each one, she passes goes high. She washes like a samba that swings so cool and sways so gently that when she passes each one, she passes goes high. Oh, but he watched her so sadly. How can he tell her he loves her? When she walks to the sea, she looks straight ahead, not at him. Oh, tall and tan, young and lovely, the girl from Ipanema goes walking, and when she passes, he smiles, but she doesn't see. Bring it in. She just doesn't see. She never sees him. Good evening, everybody. So sadly, how can he tell her he loves her? Yeah, he would give his heart gladly, but instead when she walks to the sea, she looks straight ahead, not at him. Oh, tall and tan, young and lovely, the girl from Ipanema goes walking, and when she passes, he smiles, but she doesn't see. She just doesn't see. She never sees him. She just doesn't see.
Obrigado, Welly. Welly won the Dance Your PhD competition, the International Dance Your PhD competition, and will be entertaining us later on with many more musicians and dancers while we vote. Welcome to the 2024 3-Minute Thesis Grand Final. I think the most exciting event on campus in any year. I will be guiding you through what will be an amazing evening. First of all, though, I'm going to step back and ask Professor Anne Evans, who is the PVC Graduate Research, to officially welcome you to tonight's occasion. So, Anne Evans.
Thank you, Simon. That was a bit of a hard act to follow, but now I'm really feeling in the mood. So good evening, colleagues, 3MT competitors, friends, family, and our esteemed 3MT judging panel. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to Llewellyn Hall this evening for the ANU 3-Minute Thesis Final. This is a showcase event for the university, and it's a highlight of our HDR calendar. I begin this evening by acknowledging that this event is being held on the land of the Ngambri and Ngunnawal people, land that we live and work on, land that was never ceded. And I would like to pay my respect to elders past and present, and to First Nations people joining us this evening. Welcome. It is important for us to recognise that knowledge has been generated and communicated on this land for millennia, and the work that we do is possible because of the deep and enduring care of country and community that has come before us. At the ANU, we strive to conduct research that transforms society, and our HDR researchers are at the heart of this endeavour. But our research can only have impact if we are able to communicate using a wide range of outlets and skills. The 3MT competition is an opportunity to develop spoken communication skills, to learn the craft of engaged storytelling, and to have impact outside our disciplines. But remember, this is a competition. There are prizes. And this year, I like to think of it as the Olympic Games of PhD research. So I look forward to hearing how our researchers are changing the world in 3 minutes. So I'll hand back over to you now, Simon, our MC for this evening and 3MT Wrangler.
Thank you, Anne. A couple of bits of housekeeping to start us off. The 3-minute presentations are so incredible and intense and have been rehearsed for weeks. We don't want them interrupted, so if you do need to come and go, please use the rear exits, and please do so after or before, but never during one of the presentations. And while we don't mind you tweeting your hearts out, do it silently. So phones on silent, mute, turned off, whatever you like. We just want 3 minutes of shh while the presenters present. I'll give you a little bit of context, and then we will get on with the show, and we will hear some of the amazing research that's happening on campus. The history is always fascinating. It starts back in Queensland in 2007, and the state is gripped by a drought. Now, the state government, to show that they're a can-do, action-orientated government, hands out little 3-minute timers. You stick them in the shower, you flip them when you get in the shower so that you don't use too much water. An esteemed and obviously very imaginative professor at the University of Queensland got in the shower, flipped the timer, and had an absolute brainwave. What could you do with a PhD thesis in 3 minutes? And the 3-minute thesis competition was born. The first one took place the very next year in Queensland, was massively successful, was so successful that by 2010 it had taken over the country. Lots and lots of universities were in it. It was so many so that the Trans-Tasman competition had to be invented. Not long after that, U21 invented the first global competition. That there will never be a genuinely global competition because of the two hemispheres and the different academic timetables. But 3MT became a global phenomenon. 2016, Trans-Tasman was so big that it had to become Asia-Pacific, but so many people from around the region were taking part. And at the moment now, and it's probably more, it keeps increasing by the minute. 900 universities, 85 countries take part in this thing. So success in 3MT really is an international passport. It's one of the most widely known things in academia other than the academic qualification itself. And to do well in 3MT opens so many doors for you worldwide. We have rules, obviously. First and foremost is 3 minutes. I'll tell you what happens if you go over in a second. But 3 minutes and not a second more. You have one PowerPoint slide, and it is literally a static slide that does nothing. No fancy animation, no movies, nothing embedded in it. It is, you're giving a one-person show, and it is your backdrop or it is your set, and nothing more. No props, no costumes, no singing, no dancing, nothing. It's the power of the orator, it's the power of the words, the imagination, the communication skills of the presenter, and how well they tell their story to you. And like any good competition, what the judges say goes. So no protests. This is what you never ever want to hear. Okay, it won't get you a room or an upgrade, it will get you kicked off the stage. Okay, never ever in the history of 3MT, certainly at a grand final level, has anyone ever heard the bell, gong, whistle, or whatever has been used. But this is the threat that's hanging over the contestants. We don't want to hear the bell tonight, and I'm pretty sure we won't. The people who are doing this tonight are very, very good. There are judging criteria, because it is a competition. We need to decide who the winner is. There's a whole lot of rules under comprehension and content. There's also a whole lot of rules under engagement and communication, but I'm going to simplify them for you because you're going to get to be judges too. We will have a people's choice vote later on. So when you're judging, you need to ask yourself 2 questions. What story did they tell me? Did I understand it? Did I enjoy it? Did I learn from it? And how well did they do it? How good a presenter were they? And that includes the slide as well. So what's the story and how well was it told? Later on, as I say, you'll get to judge, and so that's your judging criteria. The formal judging process, we have 5 esteemed judges who are up at the back in row Q. They have a judging process that they will go through. Rebecca Brown only started last month as the provost, so we've had to hit the ground running with this one. She's worked in the UK, Europe, Southeast Asia and Africa, and is a world-leading specialist in the environmental studies. She specializes in urban water, sustainable development and transdisciplinary methods. Second judge, Jade Toomey, is a multi-platform reporter and radio and television presenter at ABC News in Canberra and Parliament House. Previously, she's worked in Darwin, North Queensland, and she's covered pretty much everything. Certainly the 3 C's, which are Crocs, corruption and court, including the enduring saga that is the Bruce Lerman trial. Paul House has multiple First Nation ancestries from the southeast Canberra region and currently works on country with ANU's First Nations portfolio as a senior community engagement officer. He's a member of the Indigenous Reference Group of the National Museum of Australia, and he provided the welcome to country for the 47th opening of the Federal Parliament. He's also very well known to PhD candidates at ANU, because when we do induction week, Paul's always there with a smoking or welcoming ceremony, and it's one of the most special parts of the week that welcomes new PhD candidates. So he's probably well known to some people in the audience here tonight. Steve Evans is a reporter with the Canberra Times. He's been a BBC correspondent in New York, London, Berlin and Seoul, and he was proudly the sole reporter, photographer and paper deliverer on the Glen Innes Examiner in country New South Wales. And our last of the 5 judges is Saishyam Ramesh. Now, Saishyam is here for 2 reasons. He's a researcher, he's studying cholesterol-based malaria intervention, he's in the Research School of Biology, but probably more importantly and more relevantly, he knows what's going on here tonight because exactly 12 months ago, he stood on that carpet, he told us about malaria but used the metaphor of the Trojan horse and won last year's 3MT competition. So of all the judges, he knows what's going through the minds of these people backstage and what it's like to stand on the carpet and give the presentation. So thank you, judges. You've got an amazingly difficult job ahead of you. It's a competition, so there are prizes. 4,000 for the winner, 2.5 for the runner-up, People's Choice 1,000, 500 for everyone who presents tonight. But it isn't just about the prizes. The skills that these people have learned on the way, the collegiate nature that they've taken part of this competition, and so the networks and even the friendships that they've formed will keep them in really good stead for years to come. I've been doing this since it started, and I know people who met at the very first 3MT who are still supporting and helping each other in the amazing things that they've all gone on to do. So that's the prizes. Now it's time for the presentations. That's the YouTube link if you want to quickly send it to friends who are at home. ANU3MT is the hashtag if you want to tweet. What will happen from now on in is I will introduce the contestants one by one. They will come out and amaze you with their research. Remember, they only have 3 minutes and they have 1 slide, and that's it. Our first contestant, and we did draw lots for the order, so I'm not sure whether first is good or bad. But anyway, our first contestant is Jennifer Jackett, who is a Sir Roland Wilson Scholar at the National Security College at ANU. She's an expert in technology geopolitics. Her doctoral research examines the role of United States allies in US-China competition for leadership of advanced technologies. Tonight she's going to speak to us about challenging choices in US-China technology rivalry. So would you please welcome tonight's first contestant, Jennifer Jackett.
Modern technology is presenting us with different possible futures. Ask ChatGPT for an image of the Tankman protester from Tiananmen Square, and you get the image to your left. Ask Chinese equivalent Ernie for the same thing, and you get an error message with no image at all. This might seem innocuous, but it reflects a fundamental difference in how the United States and China are writing the digital codes of human history and programming our future. And it reflects a broader contest underway between them for technology leadership in everything from semiconductors to electric vehicles. The stakes are high: military and economic power, the relative influence of democratic or authoritarian systems, the openness of the internet, even the security of the phone in your pocket. But other countries are not standing idly by, and neither am I. I've interviewed almost 80 former ministers and top government officials in 8 countries, like Australia's former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull, 2 US National Security Advisors, and the founding head of the UK Cybersecurity Centre. I wanted to understand why US allies were making different choices on technology to what the US expected of them. What I uncovered is that allies' choices were as complex as they were contested, but I developed 3 archetypes to explain them. Some allies are defenders who privilege security and alliance concerns. Others are industrialists who care more about cost-effectiveness and commercial interests. Then there are balancers who are trying to find a middle road. My research also revealed the effects of allies' choices on US technology strategy against China. Some allies are enablers, like the Dutch when they restricted the sale of semiconductor equipment to China. Other allies are constrainers, like the UK when they allowed Chinese companies into their 5G network. In some cases, allies are even shapers, like Australia's world-first 5G decision, which focused global attention on Chinese technology risks. My research shows the role that other countries play in shaping the trajectory of US-China rivalry and influencing the values embedded in technology that determine which version of Tankman we and our children might get. I've presented my research worldwide to universities like Oxford, think tanks, banking executives, and diplomats. Policymakers are already using my findings so that we can realise the promise rather than the peril of what technology offers humanity.
Thank you, Jennifer. Our second contestant is Subrata Banerjee. He's a PhD candidate at the ANU College of Asia and the Pacific and is making waves with his groundbreaking research on gender-based violence in these countries. His work aims to assess the role of service providers in facilitating women's access to justice. Tonight, he will give us Improving Access to Justice, More Effective Support for Women Suffering Domestic Violence in Bangladesh and PNG. So would you please welcome Subrata Banerjee.
For the 3 minutes you are sitting here and listening to me, somewhere in the world a woman experiences domestic violence. It's in the news every single day. Have you ever heard about the young mother in Bangladesh who committed suicide, jumping over a running train along with her 2-year-old daughter after failing to get justice for domestic violence? Or the 19-year-old girl in Papua New Guinea who was brutally killed by her partner? The entire nation came into the street to demand justice. You may be wondering why I am speaking about 2 different countries, one in Asia and another in the Pacific. It's because they rank 3rd and 4th amongst the top 5 in the World Health Organization's global ranking of domestic violence. Are you feeling distressed with all those stories? I feel the same, growing up in Bangladesh and witnessing domestic violence all around me. But today, I am here not simply to recount the pain of women, rather to offer you some recommendations. My PhD research focuses on why women face challenges to access justice services for domestic violence and developing strategies to improve those services in Bangladesh and Papua New Guinea. To do so, I spent 7 months of last year in the urban and rural areas of both countries, observing and interviewing in the court trials, police stations, victim support services, human rights organizations, and village courts. What I discovered shattered my illusions and broke my heart. I found women in urban areas has limited access to justice services due to the lengthy processes, systemic barriers, lack of a gender-sensitive environment. In rural areas, the situation is even worse. Most women even do not know they have the right to access justice services, and service providers do not have enough mechanisms to reach those women. Amidst this darkness, I found some light at the end of the tunnel. I met a range of service providers who desperately wanted to raise the voices of women. My research found that their services can be improved by enhancing their communication, collaboration, and coordination with each other to establish a clearer pathway to access justice. To me, the solution is obvious. Create a single point of entry for women and direct them to the integrated system to make the services more accessible. If we just make this simple change, I believe women will feel more informed, safe, supported, and empowered everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Subrata. Our next speaker is Rakshanya Sekar. She's a final year PhD student in the Clear Vision Research Lab at the John Curtin School of Medical Research. She is passionate about using evidence-based research to address some of the world's most significant challenges. She is also the co-founder of Erythrocyte and is developing novel treatments using the patient's own biology to treat irreversible blindness. Her 3-minute thesis talk tonight is Treat Yourself, Harnessing Your Own Biology to Treat Vision Loss. So would you please welcome Rakshanya Sekar.
Take a moment and think about your favorite memory. Maybe it was a recent family reunion filled with smiling faces and laughter. Perhaps a milestone, like graduating, getting married, or landing your first job. Maybe it was welcoming a new member into your family. Those tiny hands and the excitement in the air. Notice how vividly you rely on your vision to relive these moments. The colors, the faces, and the places that make them so special For 1 in 7 of you, those colors will fade. Those faces will blur. And the places will remain mere memories. This is the reality of age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. AMD is a leading cause of irreversible blindness, affecting 288 million people worldwide. It costs the Australian economy $5 billion. Most importantly, current treatments for AMD don't save vision. My research into why we lose our sight with age could be the key to treating AMD effectively. You see, when we're young, cells in our bodies constantly talk to each other, sending cellular emails called extracellular vesicles, or EVs, that package and transmit information. As we age, these communication networks begin to break down, reducing the number of EVs sent and altering the message contained within them, eventually resulting in disease. My research has found that EVs from young, healthy cells can restore these communication networks. In fact, a single injection of these young EVs can reduce cell death and inflammation, and even slow down the progression of vision loss experienced during AMD. Considering 1 in 7 of us will develop AMD during our lifetimes, we need a plentiful, reliable, and personalized source of EVs to treat this disease. Well, the good news is that our bodies are massive EV factories, producing billions of EVs per milliliter of blood that we can harness, repackage with a message of good health, and deliver it back into your system as you age. By doing so, my hope and my goal is to save your vision so you can continue to relive those old memories, but also create new ones to ensure that those colors, those faces, and the places remain vivid for years to come.
Thank you, Rakshanya. Next, we have Daniel Lee. Daniel did his undergraduate degree with first-class honors in physics here at ANU and quickly fell in love with the field of nuclear physics. He's now working in the Nuclear Physics and Accelerator Applications Department under the Reaction Dynamics Group and is seeking to unravel the quantum mechanical origins of nuclear fission. Daniel's 3MT presentation tonight is called Exploring the Nuclear Landscape. So would you please welcome Daniel Lee.
In 1938, scientists discovered what seemed like a paradox, where adding more mass onto uranium formed an even smaller nucleus. We now know this was because of nuclear fission, where a single nucleus splits into 2 smaller, roughly equal nuclei. Fast forward nearly 90 years into the future, and you may think we understand everything about it by now. However, products in fission actually come in all shapes and sizes, displaying a complex behavior, and nuclear fission remains as one of the least understood topics in nuclear physics today. Despite this fact, nuclear fission has a huge impact on our society, whereas applications range from generating electricity, powering spaceships, to treating cancer patients. Determining the products in fission and understanding the physics underlying the nuclear fission process is crucial for these applications. So, how can we accurately model this complex process? And more fundamentally, can we understand why different products in fission arise from the same parent nucleus? To answer these questions, I am using a nuclear landscape known as the potential energy surface. This is a calculation of energies corresponding to different shapes of the nucleus, which gives a potential energy surface that is mountainous-like. And just like hiking along a mountain ridge, we can describe nuclear fission by following the path of least energy from the shape of the fissioning nucleus to shapes where 2 nuclei are forming. On this landscape, we often see multiple pathways to fission that split apart from each other. But what causes this splitting in the pathways, and how does the nucleus decide which path to take? One possible explanation involves the part of the landscape shaped like a hill. While calculations predict only a single hill, there actually may be multiple hills that cause the fission path to weave around and split apart. To see if this is really going on, I'll be inducing fission by bombarding hydrogen-like nuclei into uranium-like nuclei at speeds up to 20,000 kilometers per second using the 5-story tall particle accelerator here at ANU. If there really are multiple hills, then we should see new fission products appear as we increase the energy to overcome taller hills. Seeing this will pinpoint the hills as a feature, causing the variation of fission products. So, the next time you go on a hike with your friends, remember that at the end of the day, you're not that different from a fissioning nucleus. It's time to split up and go home. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Our next speaker has literally come down from the mountain. Next to the stage is Nico Creel, a PhD student from the Research School of Astronomy and Astrophysics, working at the Mount Stromlo Observatory. Nico will be telling us about our Milky Way and how it was built with his talk, Understanding How Magnetic Fields Shape Galaxies. So would you please welcome to the stage Nico Creel.
Our universe was born without magnetic fields. Yet today, your phone harnessed this field, guiding you here. And the Earth's magnetic field protects our atmosphere from the sun, turning harmful radiation into beautiful aurora. And beyond Earth, telescopes have revealed that magnetic fields are everywhere. They're powering our sun, they thread the space between stars, and they shape galaxies like our Milky Way. So how did our universe become so magnetized? Well, the answer lies in understanding how galaxies like our Milky Way are built. We know our Milky Way's only been able to grow as ginormous as it is by crashing into and gobbling up lots of smaller galaxies. But this process is incredibly messy, and we've struggled to understand how the Milky Way is able to hold everything together. So to learn about this process, recently new telescopes that can see magnetic fields turned and looked at other galaxies cannibalizing each other. And there we saw that magnetic fields are playing a crucial role. They are the architects of these galaxies. But where did these fields come from? While these images are incredibly beautiful, there's only so much we can learn from them. And while I would love to hop in a spaceship to go fly and measure what's happening in these collisions, unfortunately my PhD committee didn't have the funding. But no need to worry, this is why my research has focused on building computational laboratories that allow us to create galaxies here on Earth. By programming our best understanding of the fundamental laws that govern the universe, we're able to create galaxies and simulate them colliding with one another, condensing millions of years into a near-cosmic instant. And following a healthy dose of maths and physics to interpret these simulations, I have, for the first time, been able to show exactly what's happening in these violent collisions. It turns out that galaxies generate incredibly powerful magnetic fields right at the moment of impact. And these fields act a lot like a seatbelt, binding galaxies together during the chaos. So while our Milky Way didn't always have a magnetic field, it buckled up just in time, and this is why it's been able to grow so enormous. But you might be sitting there asking yourself, why study galaxies and their magnetic field? Well, for one, we do it because it poses some of the most challenging scientific problems that we encounter anywhere, and it demands solutions that drive innovation across the board, that we pivot, for example, to improve how we model and predict weather here on Earth. But most importantly, we do it because we're curious. We want to understand our magnetic universe and our place in it, and it's through my research, my friends, and my colleagues that now we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Nico. We're halfway through, and I think you can already see that not only is ANU peopled by some amazing people doing amazing things, but they're all pretty good communicators as well. I think we're also seeing how the judges have probably the most enviable and unenviable task on campus tonight. Our next speaker is Lucy Hu. Lucy is from the Research School of Finance, Statistics and Actuarial Studies at the College of Business and Economics. She is an associate lecturer in actuarial studies and also pursuing her PhD at the same time. Her 3MT presentation tonight is entitled Loans for Women Experiencing Partner Violence. So would you please welcome Lucy Hu.
You wake up every day in fear due to an abusive partner. That's the reality for 17% of women experiencing partner violence in Australia, almost 1 in 5 women. Current financial aid, mainly through loans and grants, such as a $5,000 grant from the Living Violence Program, is limited and insufficient for a safe escape. Research indicates a woman requires at least $15,000 to escape an abusive relationship. So, how do we deal with this shortfall? This is where my research steps in. Think about a loan whereby the repayment is contingent on one's future ability to repay. This is an income contingent loan, or ICL. Such loans are already used in higher education as HECS debts and can be designed to help women escape partner violence. The repayment of an ICL is contingent on whether future income exceeds a threshold. The thresholds are set to ensure that women are not in financial distress and no indexation is applied. My work involves forecasting women's lifetime employments and incomes to design ICLs. And I find about 50% of the loan monies will be repaid. So, what makes an ICL superior to other options? Firstly, like a HECS debt, if a woman's future income is below the threshold, she doesn't need to repay. This financially protects women who can't afford repayments. I find most women experiencing partner violence will sometimes have incomes below the threshold, so they would benefit from the ICL. Secondly, an ICL can provide more financial support for the same initial budget when compared to a government grant. Consider a government budget of $50 million. With the existing grant of $5,000 each, this supports 10,000 women. With an ICL, however, the government could double the support of these women to $10,000 each because 50% is expected to be repaid. Alternatively, the ICL will support more women with lower amounts. The government budget is used more efficiently in either case. Overall, ICL supports women who need the money the most and empowers them to rebuild their lives with dignity. We are not just exploring an economic model, but paving a pathway towards long-term recovery and respect. For the 1 in 5 women experiencing partner violence, the ICL could be a lifeline. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy. Our next speaker is Jolene Nalbant. Jolene was born and raised on Wurundjeri and Burunong country. They've always been fascinated with stories of the past, with myths and legends and family anecdotes, and so naturally they pursued a degree in archaeology at Monash. After moving to ANU to complete a master's degree in archaeology, Jolene realized they had a strong passion for research, and so is now completing a PhD project. Tonight she asks the question, when did humans first reach Western Micronesian shores? So would you please welcome Jolene Nalbant.
We humans are a very mobile species. We'd reached Southeast Asia over 47,000 years ago, yet archaeologists think that it was only in the last 3,000 years that we first sailed across the open ocean. With climate change erasing the clues that we've left on the landscape, the picture of when we first voyaged out of Southeast Asia across the treacherous Pacific Ocean and into Micronesia is hazy at best. Take Palau in Western Micronesia, for example. The oldest archaeological site we have there is a 3,000-year-old cemetery. But we can't be sure if this is the oldest site or just the oldest we've found so far. And currently, archaeology cannot answer this question. Rising sea levels have drastically changed Palau's coastline. So if there are any older coastal sites, they would be well below sea level today. That's why, instead of looking for really obvious signs that humans were in an area, like a cemetery, I'm looking at how the chemical composition of lake sediments have changed over time. You see, lakes are great records of past environmental change. They track changes in temperature, rainfall, and vegetation cover. The thing is, the environment can change in response to natural climate cycles, like the changing of seasons or La Niña events. The environment also will change in response to human impacts, like when we clear land for agriculture. So, how can I tell what the environment is changing in response to? Natural climate cycles or human impacts? To address this, I'm using core samples taken from 4 different lakes. 2 are my control samples. These cores have been taken from lakes that are well away from known archaeological sites and each record over 4,000 years of past environmental change. The other cores were taken from near a stepped terrace and a 2,000-year-old taro patch. By combining these records with my climate records, I'll be able to tell what human impacts look like in the lake sediments. More interestingly, though, I'll be able to pinpoint when exactly these human impacts first began, and, by extension, when we first reached the shores of Western Micronesia. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeline. Our next speaker is Sasnan Trakan-Sukbun. San was born and raised in Bangkok and was always interested in science and research. She did a bachelor's and master's degree in the UK, finishing up just as COVID-19 hit, meaning she came to Australia during the travel restrictions and lockdown, which apparently was fun, she says. And she's now with the Fisher Lab at the John Curtin School of Medical Research in the College of Health and Medicine, and tonight will talk to us about mRNA, a cure for cancer, and her grandmother's fried rice. Giving us the recipe for curing cancer, differences between mRNAs and their unstable cousin, would you please welcome Sasnan Trakan-Sukbun.
Just one change in a single letter out of the billions of letters that make up our DNA can cause you to develop cancer, heart conditions, or Alzheimer's. This single letter change can be inherited from our parents or occur spontaneously during our lifetime. That's why these diseases are so prevalent and are the leading causes of death worldwide. Our DNA is like a cookbook, and our mRNA the recipe, the resulting dish being the protein. Because our cells hand copy the cookbook, they're bound to make mistakes. Most of the time, our cells catch these mistakes and fix them. But on some occasions, these mistakes can go unnoticed, resulting in a wrong recipe. The recipe is now asking for a wrong ingredient, say a mutated protein that does too much of what it's supposed to and causes uncontrollable cell growth, leading to cancer. I'm aiming to stop this by destroying defective mRNA before they can produce harmful proteins. To do so, I am studying the cell's fail-safe mechanism. It's kind of like my grandma, who makes sure that her fried rice is the best by using only her tried and tested recipe and the right ingredients. But distinguishing the right ingredients from the wrong ones can be difficult. Both jasmine and basmati rice are white, long grains, and most importantly, delicious. The differences are subtle, just like the differences between mRNA and its cousin, cryptic unstable transcripts or cuts. Cuts are similar to mRNA, yet only these mRNA cousins get degraded by the fail-safe mechanism, but we don't know how. What we do know is that the fail-safe mechanism is kind of like my grandma, who can pick the jasmine rice from a pile of basmati rice. The problem is she can't pick the imperfect jasmine from the perfect ones. But I want the perfect plate of fried rice, so I need to help my grandma by sticking the features of basmati rice onto the imperfect jasmine so that she can discard these unwanted jasmine rice. To help the fail-safe mechanism do the same, I study how it identifies its targets, the mRNA cousins. I do this by extracting the cell's genetic materials and analyzing them. I've discovered the key differences and can now stick those features onto the mRNA-causing disease and trick our cells into getting rid of them. I can also attach these features onto the virus mRNA to help our cells kill them. I hope that this will be the recipe for making cancer, as well as heart conditions, Alzheimer's, and even pandemics a thing of the past.
Thank you, Sand. We have 2 to go. Next up is Karina Judd. After growing up in regional New South Wales, Karina studied environmental geology at UNSW, specializing in soil and mineral chemistry. One research project on a Bulgarian archaeology dig and a run-in with grave robbers later, she completed her honors in geology, showcasing soil chemistry techniques as a useful tool in identifying past tsunamis. She then went on to complete her master's at ANU in science communication outreach. She traveled with the Questacon Science Circus, and then she spent several years working professionally for both Questacon and later ANU in a variety of outreach, communication, and event management roles. Eventually, she turned to CPAS to commence a PhD exploring how science communicators perceive, understand, and imply inclusive science communication. So tonight, Karina will ask us, what is inclusive science communication? Would you please welcome Karina Judd?
Science has brought so much good into the world. Yet it's also true that science has excluded, even harmed many people throughout history. There are strong cultural reasons why the stereotype of the lonely, straight white male scientific genius exists, but I'm not here to talk about him tonight. I want to talk about everyone else who's experienced roadblocks to accessing, participating in, and benefiting from science. The enthusiastic science communicator who wants to share their passion might see that exclusion and conclude that we just need to share scientific inspiration and knowledge with more diverse audiences. If we do that, then surely more people will understand and support science. But in the science communication discipline, we call that the deficit model of science communication. Think of it like an expert pouring knowledge into the empty vessels of audiences' minds. Now, you're an audience. What we're doing here tonight is science communication, but I don't think it's fair to call you empty vessels. So let's look at the problem a different way, one that respects the existing knowledge and agency of the audiences we engage with. Science communicators have been thinking about how to do this with equity and justice in mind, and have proposed something called inclusive science communication. But what is inclusive science communication? It doesn't look the same everywhere. I spoke to over 100 professional science communicators from diverse professional and cultural contexts around the world to find out. Using methods borrowed from psychology and the social sciences, I analysed surveys and interviews to understand what professionals think inclusive science communication should or could look like in their work both in research and in practice working with audiences. And I found out that people think about inclusive science communication in different ways. Many are finding and figuring out new practical ways to make science communication more inclusive, meeting audiences where they are, both literally and figuratively. Others are taking a more radical approach, completely reimagining the ways that we create and share knowledge. By expanding our body of scientific knowledge to include traditional cultural knowledge, lived experience, and more, could we make science itself more inclusive and part of a fairer society? So what is inclusive science communication? It's a mindset, one where communicators reflect deeply on their context and adjust their approach to involve audiences on common ground, to not only include more people into science as it is, but to expand science to include more people. That's how we'll change the stereotype of who benefits from science and who belongs in science.
Thank you, Karina. Amazingly, we are at our last speaker, and it seems like it's only been 3 minutes, but our last competitor is Richard Zhang from the College of Engineering, Computing and Cybernetics. In a world faced with the very real threat of climate change, Richard's interests lie in capturing those invisible CO2 molecules that contribute to warming our planet. Inspired by the red blood cells in the human bodies, he is here tonight to introduce us to a superhero who is equipped with biomimetic capsules to fight against climate change and save our beloved polar bears and penguins. Please welcome to talk about the Carbon Knight, Richard Zhang.
The world is getting warmer at an alarming rate. The Arctic and Antarctica are losing billions of tons of ice per year. This is more than just a statistic. It's a crisis. The polar bears are struggling to find a solid ground to hunt, and the penguins are losing the habitats they rely on for survival. The fate of the polar bears and the penguins is a stark reminder that the effects of climate change are real and happening now because of the high carbon emissions in our modern society. Currently, over 10,000 species are threatened by climate change, and if we do nothing, they will die. To save them, we need carbon capture technologies to intercept CO2 before they escape into the air. Today, I will introduce you a superhero, the Carbon Knight, our new secret weapon against climate change. The Carbon Knight is a reactor we can envision as a mighty warrior equipped with powerful capsules. These capsules might look small and simple, but they hold extraordinary power. Each capsule has a breathable membrane and a magic solution inside to react with CO2 to form CO2 hydrate, a solid and safe substance. It's like turning our enemy into a stone. People have used CO2 hydrate before for carbon capture and storage, but it was not effective because of the limited contact area between gas and the liquid. To tackle this problem, I took inspiration from the red blood cells. These little guys are super efficient in carrying oxygen in our bodies because of their high surface area to volume ratio. By mimicking their structure, I created these capsules that look like red blood cells, which can dramatically improve the carbon capture efficiency. Another superpower of the Carbon Knight is the ability to grow and shrink. That means by adjusting the number of capsules, the reactor is fully scalable without loss in efficiency. They can be scattered wherever CO2 is generated. Factories, buildings, vehicles, creating a vast and decentralized network of carbon capture points. This means we are not confined to one location. We are everywhere CO2 is, making our fight against climate change more efficient and effective. You may think, there's no need to panic because we are the dominant species on the planet and climate change won't kill us. But remember, 66 million years ago, an asteroid struck the Earth, triggered climate change, which killed all the dinosaurs who had been the dominant species on the planet for over 200 million years. The dinosaurs didn't have a chance to stop their extinction, but we do, because we have the Carbon Knight.
Okay. The judges are now going to go and judge, and we're going to have a party, or we're going to judge as well. You get your chance to pick the People's Choice winner. Ask yourself these questions. Have a think about the people you've just seen. In 2 seconds, I'm going to show you a QR code, which will take you to a voting form. You can vote once and once only, so make sure you think about it. Pick your winner. At the end, they will get the People's Choice Award. So while the judges go to their judging room and consider their decision, we're going to once again meet Dr. Welly, who won the Dance Your PhD competition, and as well as other songs, he's going to perform Kangaroo Time live for us. So scan your phones, get your phones out and scan this. I'll give you 60 seconds. Okay, you can vote, and while you're voting, get ready to dance your PhD with Dr. Welly.
Good evening, everybody. What amazing presentations we just watched.
Dia de luz, festa de sol e o barquinho a deslizar no macio azul do mar. Tudo é verão, o amor se faz e o barquinho pelo mar deslizando sem parar. Sem intenção, nossa canção vai saindo deste mar e o sol. Beijo, barco e a luz, dias tão azuis. Volta do mar, desmaia o sol e o barquinho a deslizar e a vontade de cantar. Céu tão azul, ilhas do sul e o barquinho ao coração deslizando na canção. Tudo isso é paz, tudo isso traz uma calma de verão e então o barquinho vai, a tardinha cai. Dia de luz, festa de sol e o barquinho a deslizar no macio azul do mar. Tudo é verão, amor se faz e o barquinho pelo mar deslizando sem parar. Sem intenção, nossa canção vai saindo deste mar e o sol. Beijo, barco e a luz, dias tão azuis. Volta do mar, desmaia o sol e o barquinho a deslizar e a vontade de cantar. Céu tão azul, ilhas do sul e o barquinho ao coração deslizando na canção. Tudo isso é paz, tudo isso traz uma calma de verão. Então o barquinho vai, a tardinha cai, a tardinha cai. ANU is home for many nations, but for the next minutes, we're all a bit of Brazil. Isso aqui, oh, é pouquinho de Brasil, ia, ia. Deste Brasil que canta e é feliz, feliz, feliz é. Também pouco de uma raça que não tem medo de fumaça, yeah, e não se entrega não. Isso aqui, oh, é pouquinho de Brasil, yeah, yeah. Deste Brasil que canta e é feliz, feliz, feliz é. Também pouco de uma raça que não tem medo de fumaça, yeah, e não se enxerga não. Olha o jeito nas cadeiras que ela sabe dar. Olha só o remeleixo que ela sabe dar. Morena boa, que me faz penar. Põe a sandália de prata e vem pro samba, samba. Morena boa, que me faz penar. Põe a sandália de prata e vem pro samba, samba. Isso aqui, oh, é pouquinho de Brasil, ia, ia. Deste Brasil que canta e é feliz, feliz, feliz é. Também pouco de uma raça que não tem medo de fumaça, yeah, e não se enxerga não. Olha o jeito nas cadeiras que ela sabe dar. Olha só o remeleixo que ela sabe dar. Morena boa, que me faz penar. Põe a sandália de prata e vem pro samba, samba. Morena boa, que me faz penar. Põe a sandália de prata e vem pro samba, samba. This samba is so good, I don't want it to stop. Rachel, Georgie. Oh, ai, ai, oh, oba, oba, oba. Oh, oh, ai, ai, oh, oba, oba, oba. Mais que nada, sai da minha frente que eu quero passar, pois o samba está animado e o que eu quero é sambar. Nesse samba que é um misto de maracatu, é samba de preto velho, samba de preto tu. Mais que nada, um samba como esse é tão legal, você não vai querer que eu chegue no final. Oh, ai, ai, oh, oba, oba, oba. Oh, 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 ai, ai, oh, oba, oba, oba. Mais que nada, sai da minha frente que eu quero passar, pois o samba está animado, eu quero é sambar. Nesse samba que é um misto de maracatu, é samba de preto velho, samba de preto tu. Mais que nada, um samba como esse é tão legal, você não vai querer que eu chegue no final. Oh, ai, ai, oh, oba, oba, oba. Oh, 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 ai, ai, oh, oba, 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 ai, ai, la, la, oba, 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 oba. I'm so honored to be here, and I'm also so honored to always have support of beautiful dance communities. One of them is Só Samba Show. Give it up to Só Samba Show.
The praia in the sun, the fall in the night. Garota brasileira dancing into the daylight. De swing rebolado, don't know how but I try to. Seu jeitinho e o carinho, something that I'd fly to. Quer saber de onde sou? Brasileira, meu amor, Brasil. Quer saber de onde sou? Brasileira, meu amor, Brasil. A tambourine in the rhythm of samba. Oh, in the heat of December, oh, Brazil is where I go. I think I've got a taste of Brazilian soul. I'll always remember. Oh, in the heat of December, when we let our hearts grow close. Ooh, 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 ooh.
vendo aí, ela já tá falando que tá com saudade, tá me procurando. Daqui a pouco ela tá encostando. Sabe que sou louco e sem coração, mas quando ela liga eu dou atenção. Eu mando logo a localização. Hoje vai ter festa no colchão. Ela roda a cidade inteira pra ficar comigo, porque eu sou o seu esquema preferido, porque eu sou o seu esquema preferido. Ela dispensa baladas, amigas pra ficar comigo, porque eu sou o seu esquema preferido, porque eu sou o seu esquema preferido. Tá vendo aí, ela já tá falando que tá com saudade, tá me procurando. Daqui a pouco ela tá encostando. Sabe que sou louco e sem coração, mas quando ela liga eu dou atenção. Eu mando logo a localização. Hoje vai ter festa no colchão. Ela roda a cidade inteira pra ficar comigo, porque eu sou o seu esquema preferido, porque eu sou o seu esquema preferido. Ela dispensa baladas, amigas pra ficar comigo, porque eu sou o seu esquema preferido, porque eu sou o seu esquema preferido. Ela roda a cidade inteira pra ficar comigo, porque eu sou o seu esquema preferido, porque eu sou. Ela dispensa baladas, amigas pra ficar comigo, porque eu sou o seu esquema preferido, porque eu sou o seu esquema preferido. Parei, pensei, quase travei.
Thank you so much. This is original. Con la musica DJ. De Australia vení Sarolito, una chava con sueños, brilla como estrellita. Baila reggaetón con pasión y quema su corazón, bombea como semilla que escuchó de un doggy canguro sería legítimo soñar con saltos largos en la casa del ritmo. Ella busca el doc, pregunta con orollo loco, soñando con una tal cirugía. Ella busca noche y día. El doctor loca por el reggaetón, quiere encontrar, quiere encontrar. Willy. Canguro bailarín, préstale tu salto al son de beat que vibre el asfalto. Oye doctor Willy, su petición, pobre chica busca bailar un montón. Willy, unidunide, mira esta chava peleando en la pared. Loca por el reggaetón, quiere encontrar, quiere encontrar. Willy. Reggaetón. Loca. En la calle ella busca el doc, pregunta con orollo loco, soñando con una tal cirugía. Ella busca noche y día. What a crazy story, hold on there. I am really sorry, there's no way I can operate you. And the thing is that I'm not the kind of doctor. Pregunta con orollo loco, soñando con una tal cirugía. Ella busca noche y día. Por el reggaetón. Willy. early this year, we took ANU's name to the whole world through this one music video, Kangaroo Time. And for that, we're here tonight, and we're so honored to create engaging content to talk about science. If you guys know it, help us. Singing or doing the kangaroo. If you hear kangaroo, just do kangaroo. Hope you don't mind some things I learned from my kangaroo time. I'm gonna share with you. Hope you don't mind some things I learned from my kangaroo time. You ready? You're surrounded by mates, are you feeling alright? Nails go sharp to your enemy's eyes. Kick them hard, you can be inside. Underestimate, you cannot think twice. It's so good, you gotta do what feels right. Let's go! I'm gonna shout with you. Hope you don't mind some things I learned from my kangaroo time. I'm gonna shout with you. Hope you don't mind some things I learned from my kangaroo time. Austrália pra viver com muita frição. Nosso Brasil, bota essa raba no chão, que canguru come na mão. You're surrounded by mates, are you feeling alright? Stick in the music. Nails go sharp to your enemy's eyes. Kick them hard, you can be inside. Underestimate, you cannot think twice. It's so good, you gotta do what feels right. Kangaroo, kangaroo, you're surrounded by mates, are you feeling alright? This is Welly. Are you guys feeling alright? Thanks very much. Best of luck to all the presenters today. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Dr. Welly, band and dancers. We have some decisions in these envelopes. Apparently, it wasn't easy. Surprise, surprise. And to call on absolutely everyone who's involved to join us on stage. So let's start with Professor Anne Evans, and let's get the judges to join us as well, because they deserve a huge round of applause for what they've done.
I could come out here.
Anne will now do a 30-minute dance quiz. Judges are making their way down from their very special VIP judging box somewhere up there. It's a mystery to me. I have no idea where it is. Huge round of applause for the people with the hardest decision. And we're also going to get all the contestants to come out and join us. That's it, move along. We have 3 prizes to award. Anne gets to do the Hollywood thing and open the envelope. We have a trophy. We're going to start with the People's Choice. People's Choice was voted by literally hundreds and hundreds of people watching online, and despite the fact there were massive numbers, the judging was down to, I think it was 6 votes in the end. And the winner of the People's Choice
is Richard Zhang.
And now, the judges' decisions. Building to a huge climax, starting with second place. The winner of the second place, Professor Anne, is
Rakshamya Thekar.
And the winner of the first place of the ANU 3MT for 2024, Professor Anne, is
Sasan Trakan Subakul. That was very hard with no preparation.
brilliant. Sand? And I've spent all week rehearsing Trakan Sukbun. She's now going to be called Super Cool. One last huge round of applause and thank you to all our contestants, all our judges and musicians, our band, and the thesis whisperer who's lurking. We hope you've had an amazing night. We hope that you've seen how brilliant the people at ANU are, how amazingly they can communicate, and put a date in your diary for this time next year. We'll see you then.